Welcome to the Renegade Insurance Podcast, a podcast dedicated to agency owners, insurance agents to help you grow your business and be more successful. Every episode, we will bring you a different interview with more information about carriers, contacts, and products to help you every day in your insurance business, to help you with clients and to grow your company successfully. I'm super excited today for this interview. I know that I say that all podcasts, but this one definitely is one that the insurance agents here listening to this are going to enjoy. So I have the great opportunity today to interview Carl Rockman, who currently serves as the Senior Director with Citizens Insurance. We're going to talk about the history of Citizens, future outlook, platform changes, integrations, future trends, and of course, leaving a legacy. Carl, thank you so much and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Angela, for having me. Looking forward to a great conversation.
Yeah. So first, let's start with you. I would love to hear kind of your background, how you got started in insurance. It's not typically a field that we go to college to say, hey, we're going to start here. So how did you stumble upon insurance?
Yeah, it's a great question. I grew up in a little town called Brandon, Florida, which is about 10, 15 miles east of Tampa. Dad was retired military. We moved to Brandon and went to Brandon High School, then to University of South Florida, where I graduated. And as I'm graduating at USF, I'm out looking for a job in the job market. My best friend actually was working at Allstate at the time, and he encouraged me to interview there. And I did, and I stayed for 25 years. Which was a wonderful experience. At Allstate, I started in their non-standard auto division as a rookie underwriter, college grad, and was able to get promoted up to their corporate office in Northbrook, Illinois, where I stayed for 2.5 years, learning product operations and pricing and marketing for non-standard auto, and then was promoted to run non-standard auto for Allstate for New York and New England, and did that for 2.5 years. Lived on Long Island, had a great job. A lot of responsibility working with agents, loved it. But then an opportunity came up as that division consolidated inside of Allstate. I had an opportunity to come back to Florida and get into sales management with Allstate, which I did. So worked that for a while. And at the end of my Allstate career was actually working retail strategies, national retail strategies with Allstate. We were working on a very innovative program where we're opening up Allstate agencies inside the biggest car dealers in America. Which is it was a pilot program, but when I left, we had 100 dealers up and running across America, some of the best and biggest ever. But all that changed when I got a call and I found out that a carrier in Florida was looking for someone to help with their agency support, education, compliance, all those things. And I went on the interview and with Citizens, and the rest is history. Been here almost 13 years now. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's a great company. I know we'll talk a lot about the nuances of Citizens and what it is and what it isn't in a minute. But overall, just I've been blessed to have a 30-plus year career in insurance. Never thought I would get into it necessarily, but it's been incredibly rewarding. And the biggest thing I love to do is work with agents who sell insurance. And that's what I've been doing for 30-plus years. And I'm looking forward to more conversation on that today.
Good. Now, homeowners insurance in general, we'll kind of focus on that. It's been around for quite some time, but Citizens has not. So can you talk about how Citizens came about and how long it's been around?
Yeah, generally, I mean, I have the dates exactly correct, but Citizens is a function of two different entities coming together. The Florida Wind Pool and the Florida JUA came together many years ago to form what's now known as Citizens, which is a quasi-governmental Florida department. We are not necessarily backed by the state of Florida. We are a corporation. We do have the assessment power to assess Florida, not just the Citizens policyholder, but everyone in Florida, should our reserves have any issues. But generally, we're a function of the state of Florida. We are here to help customers who can't find insurance in the private market. But the one of the common misperceptions is that we are a take-all-comers company, and we're really not. We have underwriting standards. We buy reinsurance. We underwrite our policies. So homes have got to be insurable with Citizens. Okay, that's first and foremost. But then it's about private market availability. And we want to make sure that there is great integrity, making sure that those risks are shopped in the private market. At renewal, have an opportunity to be priced in the private market at renewal. Everything we're doing is about making sure private market has access to our policies and doing what we can to transition those customers over.
Yeah. And I think you just hit on that too. One of the misconceptions is Citizens doesn't take everything. So, when we talk to clients, as an insurance agent, when I talk to clients, we make sure that we're asking the right questions because there are certain criteria that Citizens requires, and we have to make sure that we're meeting it too. Otherwise, we're not placing the right policy with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when it comes to taking care of clients, because for you, your clients are homeowners, right? Whether they're
Yes.
living in the home or it's a rental property, what do you think Citizens kind of does differently to make sure that their clients are well taken care of?
Well, I think we work with great agents first and foremost. While we're the backing entity, we're certainly the insurance company. We rely a great deal on our independent agent network. You guys are the face of the relationship. We work and want to support agents to be able to deliver on that promise. We believe that our technology is up to or equal to any other private market you might deal with in terms of policy center. I know Clearinghouse we'll talk about in a little bit, but we believe that we give the agents great support in terms of our policy administration system, visibility into the data. I think we're excellent at issuing bills and issuing paper. I mean, you never have to worry about Citizens being on point for that. So I think we're giving the agents the right amount of support. And if we're not, we have networks and ways of finding out if agents have issues and things that we need to respond to. But generally, the agent is the face of the service delivery, and we want to make sure those agents are supported. And if for some reason they don't feel that they're being supported, that we've got our ears open and can sense and respond to any critical things that they might need to deliver.
Yeah. And one of the unique things I find about Citizens that not all carriers offer is there's a lot of videos and tutorials and documents for agencies, to get more educated. So talk about that a little bit. Why was that important for Citizens?
It's so important. We have 14,000 appointed agents. Okay, let's start there. We're bigger in the state of Florida than some carriers are in America in terms of appointments. So it's important that we have very effective ways to scale education to those producing agents and the people that support those agents, those very critical licensed customer reps that do a lot of the work in agencies. And given the scope of our product offerings, everything from H.2 to dwelling policies, condos, renters, we offer a full array of property insurance. It's important that we're able to deliver to the agents what those requirements are and what those policies are all about. So we've been very pleased with our ability to get education out on our portals, point agents to it. No substitute for a phone call and support, which we certainly can give you if you have a little question. But we rely heavily on agents that want to understand more about our products and our services, self-educating, going there, and then coming back to us if they need a deeper dive or a question. But if we didn't have those education components, we would be very hard-pressed to be supporting our agents with all the different things that we have to do to deliver to the policyholder.
Yeah. And like I said, I do find it beneficial because on a Sunday night, if I'm working on a client's policy and reviewing it, I can't call Citizens, but I can go search, and typically I can find the answer to what I'm looking for most times too. So as an agent, I do appreciate that Citizens offers that. So you
Absolutely.
talked a little bit about, how that helps kind of keep some of the workload off of your employees. Can you talk about the culture within Citizens and what that looks like from an employee perspective?
Yeah, I think culturally in here, we're not unlike other insurance companies in the private market. We have teams that focus on the customer's experience, everything from their billing experience to document issuance to the support they get from their agents. Customers call us directly. Believe it or not, we take hundreds of thousand calls from customers directly, and we take great pride in that. And we're obviously, given who we are, we have stakeholders that are very interested in our service delivery to our policyholders, regulators, folks in the legislative arena. There's just a lot of folks that want to make sure that Citizens is delivering and want to make sure we have the tools to do it. And that's always been the case. But we're very, very focused on the premium paying policyholder. Are they getting the things that they value and that they're paying for? And that, more importantly, we're there at that moment of truth, whether it's a hurricane claim, a water claim. Ultimately, those folks may want to use that policy, and we take great pride in responding to claim inquiries, both catastrophe and non-catastrophe, and then the general things that can come up with the policy life cycle, like billing and other things that may happen. So very, very focused on the policyholder, and I'm very proud of the results we've achieved.
Good. Now, the next couple of questions that are going to be more for our agency owners and our insurance agents. I've been in insurance for about a decade, so I've watched some of the changes with Citizens. If we can go through a couple of them and kind of from your guys' perspective, talk about the changes, why they were made, and then what the success that you're seeing from it as
Sure.
well. So you mentioned Clearinghouse. That's probably one of the older ones that I can remember from changes. What is Clearinghouse, and kind of why Citizens decided that that's going to be the next platform?
Right. Well, Clearinghouse is a function of a statute. So the idea of a clearinghouse for citizens is codified into law. And the law says that citizens will stand up and support a platform that encourages and probably a better way to say it, enforces eligibility for citizens at point of sale. And eligibility isn't so much property condition, it's price. It's very important that if a new business policy is coming to citizens, that policy be shopped in the broadest market possible relative to that agent's appointments, right? Making sure that none of those carriers want this policy, or if they do, what is the price relativity? And if that price relativity is more than 120%, then the statute allows that policy to come to citizens. So the clearinghouse is a function of public policy saying that in order to get a citizen's policy, we want to make sure, public policy want to make sure that there are vehicles and mechanisms and platforms that enforce those rules and make sure that those private market companies have an opportunity to bid on that business, and at a certain price relativity, it really can't come to citizens. It needs to be placed in the private market. So citizen staff, myself included, responds to that public policy decision with a mechanism that the agents are seeing, both the new clearinghouse powered by EasyLinks today, and if we rewind, the prior clearinghouse platform that we had for 10 years, okay? So really the clearinghouse story begins with the statute passing, the former platform being implemented, citizens having an opportunity to relook at the platform and the program, and then obviously going out with a new version of the clearinghouse, which the agents have been experiencing since April of this year.
Yeah, so that's what was going to be my next question. So obviously the platform is there to make sure that we're following the rules, but maybe not all agents are following the rules, or maybe we need to tighten that a little bit. And then talk about the transition now to EasyLinks and how that came about.
Sure. Well, the biggest thing when we set out to reimagine the new clearinghouse program, we really had a couple things in mind. The first thing was we definitely wanted more carrier participation. We wanted to go where the carriers already were. On our prior platform, we might have had at its peak, I think, 9 carriers participating. For the carriers on the old platform, they had to attach to it separately. Their IT departments had to support another rater, okay? Yeah. With the new clearinghouse, we went to where they already were, on the most widely adopted comparative rater in Florida, with 25 plus carriers and homeowner already on it. So the fact that the carriers were already on there reduced the carrier burden to participate. That's the good news. The second thing with the new clearinghouse is we wanted to significantly reduce the agent's time to get an initial eligibility decision. Yeah. Now, some agents, and I've talked to a lot of them, man, this thing is taking so long. I have to remind everybody, guys, in the prior platform, you guys might remember the 178 or so questions. Right? Everyone remembers that? Okay. We had to compromise. We'll admit, and you know for a fact that the new clearinghouse has a more modest question set, for sure.
Right.
But that question set is leading to decisioning coming in very, very quickly on most of the business. On some of the business, the question set may not be deep enough to fully qualify the risk, but that's where we have an override process where the agents can apply to have something overridden. If EasyLinks is returning a decision that may not actually be what happens when the carrier finally looks at the risk. So we built in some compromises to help with what the new clearinghouse platform won't do because of the more modest question set. But we believe overall it's a success, and this is why. We've got 25 carriers participating. Over 30% of our business is new business. Over 30% is getting some type of qualifying offer. What that means is 30% of the business is getting some price point from a carrier that says, we want this business. That's good for citizens, good for the policyholder who might end up with a policy with broader coverage, and admittedly good for your agents, okay? Because I think the more you can support your private market carriers with good solid growth, the more they're going to be in the game and the more capacity they're going to have over time. So overall, that new clearinghouse that everyone out there is experiencing, how did we get here? Listen, it was about where were the carriers? Could we have a more modest question set? And would it get the net result? And the net result speaks for itself with, again, over 30% of the business getting some type of offer, which means that the point of sale integrity is exactly what we would have hoped for.
Okay. Yep, that definitely makes sense. And I can see how it does make it easier for us when we're doing quotes. If we know a carrier isn't going to take the risk and it comes up with a number, at least there's the next step and how to get to the policy that we want to get to. So I do appreciate that very much.
And another fact, Angela, just because I didn't bring up, about 6% of the business right now is requesting an override. Okay. And we are very committed to turn those override decisions around in a day, and a day is too long. We know how important it is for you to get an override decision, and we're living into that. But we think with only 6% of the business being overridden, 35% getting some type of qualifying offer, what was this platform intended to do? Integrity at the point of sale. Right. That's what it's intended to do, and we are seeing it in the numbers. And I think as agents are starting to adapt to it, they're starting to feel, the net results of that as well. Again, with the clearinghouse, the way we've set it up, every Citizens agent has the clearinghouse powered by EasyLinks. They don't have to use it to submit business to Citizens. In fact, one of the secrets is we hope that you don't slide that button over for Citizens. We hope you can use that rater to price your homeowner and be done with it. But if you need Citizens, we need you to slide. And then, as everyone knows, we built the machine to quote against every carrier you're appointed with. So I think what the agents are starting now to realize is if I'm going to bring a piece of business to Citizens, it really, really, really needs to be a piece of business that the carriers either can't take because of location or other reasons, or the price relative to Citizens is high, and it's contemplated that those folks could come to Citizens for affordability reasons.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's what's best for the client.
Absolutely.
Deciding that too. And absolutely. I will say the turnaround time, I've had to submit a couple for the override, and I've gotten better now of providing more documentation for that decision, because you have to understand the person on the other line that's looking at this, is reviewing it, doesn't have all the information that I know. So in that email, if I have, a WinMid or a 4-point or the PDF that shows declined by American Integrity, then I'm providing it so that they can see that I have gone through the process, and I am asking for an exception because it is what's best for the client. So
absolutely,
I've learned my lessons.
Good, super.
Good. So then depopulation, I think that's something that's relatively newer as well with Citizens. Talk about how that came about and what the decision was behind that.
Well, depopulation actually precedes the clearinghouse. Depopulation has been around for many, many years, but it really, really started to get traction. What do I mean by traction? Traction means risk and exposure moved from Citizens to the private market based on a public policy legislative change that happened, I want to say 4 years ago now, where if an offer is made in depopulation that, again, is within 120% of the Citizens' estimated renewal, the customer can't stay with Citizens. A lot of the agents will recall the customer used to have a choice. They could opt out, opt out, opt out. And a lot did. A lot opted out. And you might say, well, that's good and bad, and then we could argue good and bad. But overall, if the goal of depopulation is to reduce Citizens' exposure and appropriately move people to the private market so the private market can thrive, then mission accomplished with depopulation, particularly with that public policy decision. When that decision came in and we were able to have the carriers make offers that caused the Citizens policy to non-renew, and the customer, they didn't have to take that offer, but they could not stay at Citizens. That's what built the momentum that you've seen over the past 2 years, where we've had the most successful depops ever in our history over the past 2 years, riding that public policy decision. But more importantly, it's the carriers on the other side. What everyone should feel great about with depopulation is there is carrier capacity on the other side wanting to take this exposure. And that is a sign of a healthy marketplace. And I think everyone should just keep thinking through that, not necessarily the operational turbulence that Depop can be, but what's the net result? A private market carrier with great capital, broader coverage potentially for that policyholder, and a win for the marketplace. So depopulation going to continue. We have interest again for the Q1 of next year, even though our policy count is probably going to be in the high 300,000s potentially by the end of the year, which is enormous from 1.4 million not that long ago. So thanks again to the agents. And I'll say thanks because we can't do that without the agents having 1 million conversations with people, moving them around. That we don't take that lightly. But ultimately, Depop is great for the carriers because they can come and look at our business, select it, have predictability, and good for citizens as we reduce exposure and put those folks in appropriate carriers.
Yeah, and you mentioned the healthy market. We've seen some carriers come into Florida, which is nice. And I've been here, for a little bit. So to see that, it's great news for us because then I feel comfortable in the market as well. And oftentimes, and I don't want to say all, but I would say there's a small percentage of agents who used to tell clients just to stick with Citizens because they didn't want to have to do the work to make sure that the new policy or explain coverages and why it might be beneficial or get to know a new carrier. So I agree with the depopulation. I think because of what Citizens is supposed to do, we need to make sure that we're keeping the integrity of that too.
Well, understood. And I think having worked with insurance agents my whole professional career, I've come to understand that a homeowner policy for an insurance agent is the closest thing to an annuity that they're ever going to have. And why is a homeowner policy so great? You write it once, you got all that acquisition, and then it kind of sits. Unless they do a refi, you're not doing much with it. And guess what? Carriers are paying you a renewal commission. I get it. Believe me, I get it. The best thing in an insurance agency's book is that homeowner policy that stays there for 8, 9, 10 years but what is Citizens doing to you? This is the contrast. This is what I hope everyone's starting to realize between depopulation on a Citizens renewal and the renewal clearinghouse, which we're debuting right now. I think everyone's starting to feel that staying at Citizens may happen, but not without carriers looking to depop you or being shopped in the renewal clearinghouse. And this is something I'm encouraging agents to factor into their calculus from an operational standpoint in their agency. Okay. These carriers are offering, in some cases, broader coverage. They might be offering maybe a point or two in commission. Let's be honest. Okay. My commissions are a little bit lower than normal. So I think from an agency economic standpoint, if it's a broader policy for your consumer, right? We're doing the shopping for you in the renewal clearinghouse or the carrier. There's wins here. It's just we got to make sure the agents are, energized enough to say, deep breath, let me get this policy to the private market. Let me get it there versus kind of, groaning about it and resisting it. I would say at this point, guys and ladies, between Depop and renewal clearinghouse, you should start to feel that if you've got a Citizens renewal, it's going to get looked at every renewal, every time. And that's where we're just trying to create opportunity for people to move along and find a home. So factor that into your operations.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Talk about flood policies. So obviously the rules a little different for like a DP product versus the homeowners. How did that decision come about, and talk about the rules and what you're seeing for that too?
Okay. Again, like most things Citizens, it's born out of public policy. It's not the Citizens executive team sitting here going, well, let's make everybody do a flood policy. It's a public policy decision. And where was it born from? Well, candidly, a very robust hurricane season a couple of years ago. And what's one of the common things we hear a lot about during a hurricane claim? Was it flood? Was it wind? Was it flood? Was it wind? Well, the public policy decision is if you want a policy backed by the state of Florida, right, through assessments, the state of Florida wants you to be completely covered with no ambiguity. How do you do that? Wind, multi-peril, and flood included. So a public policy decision came in about 3 years ago where Citizens policies will be required to have a flood policy. Now, this stair-stepped in 700,000, 600,000, 5 and 4. But again, Angela, you guys are ahead of the curve on this podcast. I want to let the agents know, guys, next year it's 400,000. And then in 2027, every Citizens policy anywhere in the state of Florida, flood. Again, good thing for the consumer to be adequately protected, no doubt about it. But again, factor that in now to your Citizens renewals that you're now going to have to market a flood policy to. What an opportunity either to sell more flood or potentially say to that consumer, hey, there might be an opportunity for you to be insured with a private market carrier where that flood may not be there. I encourage people to carry it. You know where I'm going. But economically, if they're at 200 feet above sea level and it seems impractical that it would ever flood, that's where the agent can have a very powerful conversation with a policyholder. Say, now may be the time. So let's move you over because of this new requirement. But the flood requirement for citizens is a public policy decision. If you want a policy with the backing of the state of Florida through assessment potential, then the state of Florida wants you to be completely covered. And that's what it's about.
And I really do think that this rule, despite the pushback that you probably are getting, is very important. Because you're in the Tampa Bay area, so you got double hit last year with hurricanes. And how many of those claims were in X zones, right? Where it's not, they say it's not required. I tell everyone in Florida, if you got a letter, you're in a flood zone. There's a reason there is a letter there. It's because there is a flood zone.
On the other side, Angela, I've as agents, we probably emphasize this to customers that aren't in high hazard zones. Please buy it, and they don't. Well, and now Citizens is requiring it, and it's a different conversation when it's required. You brought up a great point between Broward County, these storms we saw in the Panhandle, tropical storm parks itself over an area for 5 days. You're going to have a flood. It's going to happen. So we've always said Florida's a flood zone. I firmly believe that. If this helps get more customers adequately protected, then great. If it does, but if there's other decisions the agents need to make, then that's fine too. But born of public policy, and we think it's a good thing for people to be fully protected.
Yeah, and I mean, it's relatively inexpensive as well. If you're in an X zone, we've got tons of private markets. You can get a building only policy for $400 or $500. So, and relative to the coverages that are there, it just from
Absolutely.
an E&O perspective, as well as an agency owner, we have our clients sign, I do not want flood because I told you about it and now you need it. Guess what? You kind of forgot that we had this conversation. So
you bet.
I really do like that you guys do that. So let's switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
You've obviously been in insurance for a little bit. And you get to see a lot more things than perhaps insurance agents or agency owners get to see. So I want to talk about like future technology, kind of where do you see or what does Citizens see future-wise for us in the insurance industry?
Wow, a great and fair question. Right now, I don't have a lot up my sleeve because the investments that we've made in technology over the past few years, one, the Guidewire system known as Policy Center. Unbeknownst to the agents, we kind of lifted that into the cloud environment a year or so ago. That it was transparent, but we made an investment to get more performance out of the system and better things behind the curtain. So that's something that we did. And then obviously the new Clearinghouse platform powered by EasyLinks was another technology investment that we made to live into the requirement for the Clearinghouse. I don't know that Citizens has anything on the, I know that Citizens doesn't have anything on the roadmap right now that would be as big or as important as those two systems. We want to maintain those systems, make them as effective as they can. I'll just comment generally, just Carl talking, that I think all of us are tuned into this AI revolution, right? All of us are tuned into that. And how is that going to change how we respond to customers and how agents are supported? Citizens, we're taking a very, very deliberate and slow approach to anything in that space. I think it moves so fast that carriers are at risk of going one direction and then something great comes up. It's going to be tricky, but I think it's all upside to me. I think the AI technology and other things are going to enable better conversations. They're going to make agencies a lot more efficient, and I just think that's probably the next big thing that I can see. But I don't have anything specific that we're cooking up right now. But we're going to be watching other carriers, both the Florida domestics and the big nationals, to see what they're going to bring. And we'll be anxious to hear what you guys are feeling in that space. But right now, it's I think that's going to be the next big thing, is what can that do to facilitate information share, facilitate service, facilitate all the things that customers are demanding. What can we do to deliver it more efficiently and more accurately?
Yeah. And I've heard people say, it's great technology to be able to integrate AI. And if we can make our processes or streamline things, make it easier for clients. But I still think at the end of the day, the insurance agent is still needed to be able to explain what, the coverages are. Why do you need the coverages? So I don't necessarily see the human aspect of it going away anytime soon.
Exactly.
Thankfully.
Yes.
But if
absolutely.
we can streamline quotes or, whatever process we can do to make it easier for the clients, that's great. But we're not going anywhere yet.
Yep. Absolutely.
No, we've been through some challenges in Florida the last couple of years. we still get it. I still get the roofers who come knock on my door wanting to look at my roof. But outside of perhaps that, what do you think are some other challenges that Florida might see, even though we're in a healthy insurance market now?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is helping and hoping that the reforms made 2 years ago hold. Senate Bill 2A, where the one-way attorney fee was changed, has really, we believe, been the catalyst to this improving marketplace. Carriers have more predictability. There's a more certainty in terms of how policyholders will interact at the moment of claim. There's just a lot of things that are providing more certainty than the prior environment where there was less certainty. I think in Florida particularly, making sure those reforms hold, making sure that our voice is heard, both carriers and agents. Agents want a healthy marketplace. I think carriers want a lot of competition. Carriers don't fear competition. They just want to have a marketplace that is a lot more predictable. I think those are the things. And then obviously, responding to catastrophic losses, which we really can't control. But I think the biggest hurdle, if we were on this podcast 2, 3, 4 years ago, we would still be facing those headwinds of why can't this market be more like the rest of America? Well, I think it's got a chance now. But the most important thing is for agents to be involved, let your voice be heard, respond. I mean, we just got to make sure that the folks that make those decisions are informed of how good the marketplace is becoming. That's going to get reflected, we believe, in stabilizing rates and then reducing rates, right? One thing's got to happen before the other. And then as agents, the more opportunities and markets you have for your consumers, the happier they're going to be. And the more you guys are going to thrive as well. So right now, it's really holding that. That is the key thing right now. There's really, in my judgment, not a lot of other things that need to happen in this marketplace other than let it settle down and let it respond from a free market dynamics that we all know will work. And now that we've got the right support from a public policy standpoint.
Good to hear. Mm-hmm. All right. As we start to wrap up the podcast, perhaps more of a personal question for you. So you've been with Citizens for a little over a decade, 13 years now. Mm-hmm. If someone were to describe the legacy that you left from Citizens after you decide to retire someday, what would be some positive things that you would want them to say?
Well, I think one thing that I look back on and reflect on is when I first got here, Citizens really didn't have an infrastructure that I would equate to an agency management or marketing team in a private carrier. And with the support of the Citizens executive leadership team over the years, we formed up a very modest team of agency managers that over the years have built relationships with big agencies and mid-sized agencies where they could get advocacy and get support and get help in ways that they're accustomed to, right? I think the biggest thing I'm proudest of is being able to set up that infrastructure very quietly and very efficiently. And it's given, I think, our larger, bigger agencies that work with Citizens a lot, a place to go, right? A place to go. Maybe not the Facebook group that everyone likes to go to. Go right to your agency manager, right? I read the Facebook group too. I read it every morning. So it's not hard. But the point is, if you're out there with Citizens and you're feeling a little frustrated or you're feeling like, the thing I'm proudest of is we built a network for agents to connect to, right? We've really built it. So connect with us. Give us a chance to be your advocate, to help you understand something that's going on, help fix a problem, because we're not perfect. We're happy to put out those fires for you because we know they're a reflection of your agency and the service you provide. We want nothing more than to get a chance to course correct on anything that we did wrong. But also the other thing is listening to the agents and being able to bring their voice into Citizens, right? Agents are a key stakeholder here. And not that it wasn't happening before my time, but we take a great deal of pride in our agent roundtable, our feedback mechanisms where our agency managers will listen and say, hey, the agents are hot about this, this, and this. And we have the ability to bring that inside the four walls of Citizens, and we get great support from our executive team to make necessary changes if they're reasonable and practical, and we can do them. No one here is going to stand in the way of trying to make something not making something more efficient or helpful for the agents. The thing we deal with, though, is we've got these rather large machines like Depop and Clearinghouse, that are mandated, that are very unique, that can seem, those are strange, but hey, we've got to help you through that. But beyond that, the thing I'm proudest of is the support I've gotten, and we've gotten here collectively from the executive team and from the board to do what? Help agents. Because right now, without the agents at the front of this thing, we don't sell any other way. And we definitely want those policyholders to be satisfied. We want them to feel like they're getting the support from their agent. And how do you make that happen? You support the agent. Right. You figure out a way to give the agent the help and the support they need to do their job, and then everybody wins. So I'm proudest of that, the continuing legacy that we built there. Before my time, it wasn't, and now it is, and we have every reason to believe that's going to continue.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Carl, well, thank you. On behalf of Renegade, we appreciate your time and education for us and your partnership, obviously, as we continue to grow as a franchise too. Any last words or piece of advice you could give to agency owners?
Yeah, Angela, I would just say this. If you have any need for any reason to get in touch with Citizens, or just that moment where you're feeling a little frustrated or you just want to tune up, we've got a network of people that can reach out. So reach out to us. We'd be happy to consult with you. If we're emailing you, open that email, pick up that phone, because if we're trying to get in touch with you, it's probably something pretty important. And I just say this, the road ahead for the next 12 to 18 months, I would really tell the agents, if you've got a Citizens book, okay, now's the time to really look at the ability to potentially move that business to an appropriate private market company that's good for the policyholder and good for you as well. So those things are not going to slow down over the next 12 to 18 months, and we just want to be so upfront with everybody on those and to be supportive of you as you move through those operational steps. But that won't slow, but we do appreciate everything the agents do for us, because we can't do it without you. But our goal is to obviously support these private carriers that really are going to thrive if we can get these customers onto appropriate policies with them. So we thank everybody for the support of those programs.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity for a touch point and a cross sell. So why not?
Absolutely. And remember, your competition with Citizens, 14,000 strong, right? So it's when you write a Citizens policy, guys, I know it's important and it feels right, but it's a different journey. Right, in terms of the carrier and the agents. And that's why we're really encouraging agencies, both new business with the Clearinghouse and renewal and Depop, a lot of private market appetite. Gosh, let's help these private carriers. Let's get this business over. And in most cases, you'll find those private market policies sometimes offer a little broader coverage here and there. That's a win for your consumer and certainly a win for you. So we encourage you guys to take a hard look at that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. Really appreciate your time today.
All right, Angela. Thank you. Anytime. We'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Renegade Insurance Podcast. If you would like more information, would like to join the Renegade Insurance family, go to renegadeinsurance.com today.